Happy New Year. Welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. And on today's program, we get to chat with Megan Allen. She's the director of the Thomas Crane Public Library. First, though, we check out the weather and the news for you this morning. Currently in Quincy, it is overcast out there. It's cold, too. 26 degrees right now. We'll have some afternoon snow showers around with the high around 30 degrees. More snow the further south you go. Looks like a plowable snow event on the Cape and Islands later on today and tonight. Temperatures will dip into the teens. That sets us up for a chilly Tuesday, but the sunshine will return. Highs tomorrow into the mid-30s. Looks like a big warm up here on Wednesday with some rain. Highs Wednesday in the lower 50s and back to more seasonable type weather. Thursday, mix of sun and clouds. Highs Thursday in the upper 30s. We could have a little snowstorm around here on Friday. Right now, though, we have clouds, 27 degrees in Quincy. In the news today, Quincy City Council will hold its first in-person meeting since the outbreak of the pandemic tonight. The city clerk, Nicole Crispo, says that preparations have been made to welcome councilors back in person to the Great Hall.
We're up there and we're talking about, what logistically what we have to get done. There were some sudden changes that really no one would notice, but that Public Buildings has been working on the well, making a few changes, and so we're up there looking at that, and it does seem a little weird to be there.
Crispo says there will still be a remote option for councilors who are not comfortable meeting in person, and that the meetings will be open to the public. Quincy City Council will hold its first meeting of 2022 tonight. Officials will gather in the Great Hall at City Hall at 7:30 in person for the first time since the pandemic began. And Council President Nina Liang has some words of advice for the next council president.
I still go back to what I had said when we first spoke about this. Listen, right? Listen to those who served before, listen to those who are active in the community, listen, to your colleagues, to those in the council office, right? You have to be a sponge, right? And I think to that end, maybe the second thing I would say is, be flexible. You have to clearly be flexible. I started thinking, here we are in 2020 in January, and we're going to have all these amazing things we're going to do. And every step of the way, we've had to be flexible, right? When we first in the Zoom space, you and I spoke about this. We were like, all right, Joe, in May, we'll be back in person. And here we are 2 years later, right? And so you really had to be flexible. But I think what helped me and what drove a lot of my decisions is really listening, right? And taking that feedback and guidance from those around me who helped us to make those decisions along the way and to help us move forward successfully. So those two things, listen and be flexible.
Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch will be delivering his midterm address later on this month. Meantime, Quincy Councilor at Large Noel DeBona is expected to be elected the next City Council president tonight. DeBona says that tonight's meeting will be both in person and remote for councilors who aren't comfortable being in the chambers. He says councilors will be sworn in for their new terms tonight. It'll be the 82nd Quincy City Council. All incumbent councilors were re-elected back in November. DeBona says the next council meeting will be held on January 24th. Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch says he will not implement a vaccination or mask mandate for public places here in Quincy. Koch says he believes people have the common sense to do what is right.
No, we've had some meetings with the Metro mayors and Metro Area Planning Council, which serves as kind of a conduit with the core mayors and city managers around the Boston region. And look, we've been through this for a while. I think we've learned a lot. Obviously, we've lost people. I know a number of people that died from the COVID. Yeah. We also recognize that we understand now who's susceptible, that people are getting sick, but people aren't dying like they were. And so I think this variant, we got to be careful. But I'm a big believer. Look, there's been a lot of information out there. We pushed the vaccinations. We've done incredible work, in my opinion, here in Quincy, and how we've handled it with the schools, with the business community. And sometimes I think that those that are in power in government think they have all the answers and have to mandate things. And I believe that people can make choices. People that are susceptible, they know and they've got to be extra careful. The vast majority of the population has been vaccinated and now getting the boosters. So I think that the government didn't create this government we have. It was the people that created the government, and I think people are smart enough and can make decisions for themselves. In addition, I don't want to put any additional burden on our business community. They have suffered tremendously over the last 2 years, particularly in the retail world, and I don't want to add to that burden.
As for the public schools, the mayor says the mask mandate is a decision left up to the State Department of Education. Currently, masks are required in Massachusetts public schools for students 5 and older and all staff through January 15th. Interfaith Social Services of Quincy says it raised a record more than $420,000 during their recent Feed the Hungry Gala celebration that was held both in person at the Granite Links Golf Club and also virtually. Now, the in-person guests enjoyed food and beverages from some of the region's top restaurants. They played carnival-style games such as snowball toss and wine spin, and participated in a silent auction for packages including Boston Celtics tickets, some mini vacations, and a taco truck party. Now, the event was held entirely virtually back in 2020 due to the pandemic. Interfaith says the funds raised will help them keep their food pantry shelves stocked through the winter as they see a dramatic increase in the number of people needing assistance due to higher food costs. This year's gala is also already scheduled. It's December 2nd up at Granite Links. Coming up, Thomas Crane Public Library Director Megan Allen will join us next. Welcome back. Really happy to welcome our very first guests of the new year, the director of the Thomas Crane Public Library, and our good neighbor here at QATV, Megan Allen. Hi, Megan.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. I'm excited to be the first guest of 22.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
said, well, we have to have our neighbors in. We have to be good neighbors. And we share the same building, so.
Yes, well, you guys are the best.
Likewise, we appreciate your services too. And I know that it has been a trying time, certainly for public libraries all over.
It has,
Yeah.
and I don't know whether you saw the Boston Globe just did a feature article that was in yesterday's edition about.
I didn't see it. I heard about it. though.
Yes,
Yeah.
about how public libraries have pivoted and served people through the pandemic, and the Thomas Crane Library was one of the featured libraries, so that was kind of fun.
As well as it should have been, because really right from the start, you wasted no time in pivoting, as the new catch term, right, pivoting.
Right.
But really didn't miss a beat, because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
infrastructure was kind of already there, wasn't it?
Well, some of it was.
Yeah.
I mean, we had many electronic resources available online when we closed, but we had never done any programming online.
Right.
We'd always done it in person. So that was quite a learning curve for the staff. And then, of course, we had the buildings closed
That's
for
right.
most of 2020.
Yes.
So we had to figure out how to get things into people's hands in a different way. And
The
that was-
curbside pickups.
Yeah, the
right?
curbside pickup,
Yeah.
that was very labor intensive.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was challenging year, and of course we all thought 2021 would be a little bit easier, and for a while it was.
Yes,
right?
the summer was.
The vaccines came,
Yeah.
the summer came, we started to do some in-person programming again in the spring and the summer
Yeah.
outside, and that was very popular. We reopened all of our buildings by July when we finished our carpeting project at the main library.
Yeah.
And we've pretty much been back to normal operations and normal hours since October, including in-person programming. As you know, we've done some concerts because QATV, recorded and live streamed them for us.
Yes.
And they were well attended.
Great.
And then Omicron came to visit.
Yes. Yes. So what does that mean going forward, do you think?
Well, I don't know, but
Yeah.
we're certainly in a position where we can, pivot again as needed. So, in fact, I just had a conversation with my assistant director looking at our program schedule for January to see how much is already online, how much is in person, and which of those do we think we could or should present online instead. Our
Okay.
first, we're doing a whole concert series starting on January 23rd, Sunday afternoon concert series monthly, funded by our wonderful Friends of the Library group. And first one is a pianist in the Richardson Room. And so we're just talking about, you know, what we'll do. In that case, we'll probably just hold the concert and live stream it, and so people who don't feel comfortable coming in, and maybe also by then the Omicron will have, you know,
Subsided a bit.
subsided
Yeah.
a bit. So children's programs too, some of them we've continued to do online, some of them in person, some of them we'll probably still do in person.
Okay.
You know, so we'll just kind of have to play it by ear and take it week by week, and you know, it's a little discouraging.
It is, no question. Everybody's going through the same thing right now, trying to
Yep.
adjust to the new normal again. Did folks come back in numbers that they had before the pandemic, would you say?
No.
No.
You know, it started to come back in September and October and early November. We were up to about 40% of our previous foot traffic.
Okay.
But you know, I haven't looked at the numbers for December, and I won't be surprised if we see a little downward trend
Sure.
as people get nervous
Yep.
about coming into public spaces.
Right.
So, yeah, but I feel like this is a bump in the road, and you know, things aren't going to be like this forever.
Right.
And we're still going to be here.
Yes.
And
yeah.
we, you know, have made facility improvements at, you know, all locations, but the main library, we replaced the carpet.
Looks
and
great.
We did
Yeah.
a major reorg of the collections and the spaces, and we have some new furnishings, and it really feels like kind of a new space. It's very well lit and very welcoming, I think, and so we'll be here
Yeah.
when people feel comfortable coming back in again.
Appropriately, there's a new health and wellness section, which I'm sure is going to be very popular
Yes.
going forward. Yeah.
Yep. And we have a new arts and crafts section, and we moved all the fiction, so it's all together. So, yeah,
It's better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
greatly
it
improved.
is.
You use the downtime to your benefit for
We
sure.
did.
Yeah. What are the current COVID protocols, Megan, in the library system?
We're just following the state protocols, so masks are recommended for everyone,
Okay.
whether you're vaccinated or not right now because of Omicron. And most people who come in do wear masks.
Okay.
And most of my staff is wearing masks
They do,
too.
okay.
They're dealing with the public all day
Of
long,
course.
so,
Yeah. Have you
yeah.
had any staff issues because of COVID? At all?
We actually have gotten through this entire period with no staff issues until very recently.
No.
And it's probably Omicron is
Yes.
just more, you know, it spreads more quickly.
Yes,
So I
yeah.
have had several staff test positive over
Okay.
the last few weeks, and it does start to have some impact on our ability to serve people, just because if someone tests positive and then they've worked with other people
Right. It's a
in the
trickle-down
previous
effect.
day or two,
Yeah.
then the other people might have to go home and wait till they have a negative test.
Right.
And so, yeah, hopefully it won't be something we can't cope with over the next few weeks.
Yes. Yeah. Anything start during the pandemic that is still going on in terms of online services? Do you think some of the things will stay, permanently?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll probably continue to have some programming online,
Yeah.
or some programming in a hybrid way, because it just allows more people to participate.
Sure. Yeah.
And some of the new online resources that we've invested in the last year or two, we will continue to provide to people, because we have enlarged the scope. So, for instance, we added the Wall Street Journal online.
Oh.
Is something you can access with your library card now. We
Okay.
didn't used to have that before. We also, as part of the Old Colony Library Network, we all agreed to. We've been providing the New York Times online for a while, but it didn't include the recipes or the games and the crossword puzzle, which a lot of people enjoy both of those
Certainly.
things.
Yeah.
So we've decided to offer those as well.
Nice.
So that's a new thing, just
Okay.
really in the last few weeks that became available.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think folks have found you that might normally not have? You know, because
Well,
of-
there's no question that
Yeah.
use of all of our online resources went way up
Sure.
in the last fiscal year while we were closed, and it's continued to stay high.
Okay.
And use of the physical collections like the print books, that went way down,
Mm-hmm.
even though we had to go. But people just kind of switched to the online ebooks.
Yeah.
But since we reopened, we've seen that use of that material come back up again too. It's not all the way back to what it was, but it's it's about maybe 25% below.
Okay.
So it's funny because some people switch and then they get used to using ebooks,
Yes.
and then they just develop new habits.
Don't go back. Yeah.
They don't go back, but
Yeah.
other people, it's like, enough already. I want to read
I want to hold it.
I want to hold the book in my hand.
I want to dog ear it. I
So
want
yeah,
to smell
so
it.
I've heard both things, and
Yeah.
and there's it's just different to be able to come in and browse and pick
Oh,
something
sure.
out.
And talk to a librarian too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And get
Yeah.
information that you might not know, but normally online.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the North Quincy branch, Megan. What's going on? Are the shelves
Well,
in yet?
We are opening February 1st.
Whoa! Stop the presses. Okay.
Yes,
Very
yes.
good.
So we've had just delay after delay after delay.
know.
A lot of COVID-related supply
really?
chain
Okay.
delays. Oh yes. The most recent delay was for the shelving.
Yes.
It was supposed to be delivered in July, and we got it in November. So, but we've been very busy down there, bringing the collections back in. People may not realize this, but we are constantly evaluating all of our collections because we have a finite number of shelves, and we purchase new material continually, and it's not going to all fit unless we get rid of some of the
have to
stuff that's
rotate
already
stock,
there.
essentially,
So
right?
yes,
Yeah.
it's a continual process
Yeah.
that happens. It's just part of what we do
Mm-hmm.
all the time. It's kind of invisible to people. But while the North Quincy branch was closed, because it closed in August 2019,
Wow.
so everything that was on the shelves then got put in storage,
Okay.
and it's just been sitting there. And then all the items that were out, borrowed by people
Mm-hmm.
when we closed, that all got returned over the next few weeks, and that stuff got put in boxes
Okay.
and stored. So now we're going through all of that because in the 2.5 years since then, we've been purchasing materials for that collection, but we haven't weeded anything out.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's like not going to all fit on the shelf.
Right. Unless you put shelves at the ceiling, right?
So we've been working away at that, and
Okay.
because all the work that we would have done with the collection, we didn't do.
Didn't happen.
So
yeah.
we're doing it in a hurry-up fashion,
Yeah.
so that we can be, ready to open.
Okay.
And all the furniture came back in. All the new furniture that was purchased through the fundraising campaign that the foundation led back
Yeah.
in 2018 and 2019. It was nice new furniture. It's been in storage.
Okay.
Now it's back.
Yes.
So.
Unused, brand spanking new, right?
Well, it was a little bit used because it had been out for a few months.
Yeah, but
It's pretty new. So not everything is going to be done. There are parts of the renovation that are not quite finished, but it won't prevent us from opening the building.
Okay.
The most obvious one is the front. We had a small community room in the front,
Yes.
and part of the renovation was to expand it, so to push out the front facade a little bit. So that is still in process,
Oh, okay.
and it affects the front entrance. So probably when we open on February 1st, we will not have access to the Hancock Street entrance
Okay.
yet. So we'll have signage out there to let people to know to walk around
Go
to
around
the
back.
back.
Yeah. Okay.
But the Public Buildings Department is leading this renovation,
Yes.
and they'll be trying to finish that up as quickly as they can.
Essentially, a whole new building, right? I mean, for
It is. It
apart
may
from the
not look any
structure.
different from the outside
right.
to people, but it basically was essentially gutted
Yeah.
on the inside. So everything is new, and some of it will be very obvious the minute people came in come in. There will be carpeting, for example, which we never had before.
Okay.
Other things are a little bit more subtle. It used to, all the walls were brick,
Yes.
and there was no insulation
Uh,
at all.
okay.
So a lot of the, and I have to give credit to Paul Hines, the Public Buildings Commissioner. This was his brainstorm. He said, well, if we're doing this, why don't we insulate those brick walls and put drywall?
Mm-hmm.
It'll help acoustically. It'll help with the, comfort.
Yes.
And so that's one of the things that was done.
Energy efficiency, I'm sure, as
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
the entire ceiling was demolished and rebuilt, and then sprayed with an acoustic foam paint to again help with the acoustic issues in there. New ceilings all along the outer edges of the branch.
Sure.
Acoustic ceilings. They all used to be hard ceilings before, so all these things that contributed to the sort of noise level issues in there.
Yeah, because it's kind of a wide open space.
It's a wide
so,
open
yeah,
space. It
yeah.
had a tile floor. It had
Yep.
hard ceilings and brick walls. I mean,
Like an echo chamber, essentially.
exactly.
Yeah.
So acoustically, it's like a different
Wow.
building when
Okay.
you walk in there. It's really nice.
The windows I know are brand new.
Windows are brand
look
new.
Great. Yeah.
They all just got cleaned inside and out.
Okay.
And there's a lift now
Oh.
because it was we have the
The sunken
sunken
Yeah.
part that's our teen space, and then the mezzanine area were not accessible to people with mobility disabilities. So now there is a lift,
Very good. Okay.
so people can have access, and we gutted the mezzanine and created 2 rooms. They're separated from each other, so you don't have to walk through one to get to the other one, which is the way it was before.
Yes. Okay.
So lots of improvements. The teen space too, again, it had a hard ceiling, and now it has acoustic panels on the ceiling to help with the acoustics in that area.
Nice. Okay.
They've put in some new HVAC for some of those side spaces that are not the main area. The other news is the North Quincy Community Center, which was in the former Bookmobile garage, has been closed. It's not going to reopen.
Okay.
And the library is going to convert that space into a community meeting space.
Where is that exactly, Megan?
It's part of the North Quincy Library,
Yeah.
but it's not directly accessible from the interior public space of the
Okay.
library because there's a staff work area in between.
I see.
So it used to be where the Bookmobile lived.
Okay.
So it was renovated to be a community center space about, I want to say 13 years ago.
Okay.
If I'm 13 or 14 years ago.
Okay.
I may be slightly off on that. And it was part of the community center services that were run out of the planning department.
I see.
So the place is definitely in need of some renovation itself. So we will be working with the Public Buildings Department to repaint, replace the carpet, do a little bit of sprucing up. And then it'll be another community meeting space like our community meeting room here at the main
Oh,
library.
very good. Okay.
Because North Quincy has never had a big enough space for programs and events.
Yeah.
Even the community room that we have now that's being expanded is still pretty small. So will be a much bigger space to be available for library programs, but also available for other city departments, community organizations and agencies who want to book the room just the way they might book the main library
I see.
room.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, again, the timeline on getting that space finished, but
Let's get the branch open
when
first.
I get the
right?
branch open first.
Yeah.
But and we expect to, we'll be working with the former director of the North Quincy Community Center to reach out to folks that used to come to regular programs there. There used to be a weekly mahjong game, I
Oh, all right.
think,
Just
and
to
a
let them know.
quilting group,
Yeah.
and but we will have spaces available at the library between our newly expanded little room in the branch itself and then the new community meeting space.
Great. It's a great asset for that part of the city.
It is,
Yeah.
because it's the furthest branch
Yes.
from the main library, and it was really hard not having a larger space both for the community and for the library to
Sure.
use. So we're pretty excited about that.
I bet. So February 1st, is there any kind of formal ribbon cutting or?
No,
okay.
we're going to wait until it's completely finished.
Okay.
I mean, we'd like to have the front entrance done
I suppose,
and the expanded meeting room finished
Yes.
before we, do any big celebrating.
Sure.
Let's get it done.
Okay.
But then we'll have some kind of open house and some
Okay.
more formal kind of a ribbon cutting thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
But, yeah, we hope people will find us again.
Yes.
It was a very busy branch before we closed.
Very,
And,
yes.
we've had a lot more staff there lately because we've been working actively in there. And, I keep running into people in the parking lot saying,
When
you can open.
yes.
So,
February 1st. Now,
yeah.
now we have a date.
yeah. So,
Excellent. We'll have to have you back afterwards. and
yeah,
get a little
well,
update.
you'll have to come and take a look.
Thank you. I'd be happy to.
Yeah. I'll invite the whole QATV team to
All
come
right.
down and take a look.
Happy New Year, Megan. Thanks for coming over.
Same to you. Thank you for
very much.
inviting me.
You are welcome. Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. What you see is what you get. Clouds and chilly temperatures, maybe some snow showers this afternoon. Around 30 degrees for a high. Looks chilly tomorrow, but sunshine returns. Be warm and wet on Wednesday and back to winter on Thursday and Friday. Thanks again to Megan Allen for joining us from the Thomas Crane Public Library. Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. Friday on the show, Rob Corley's here from NeighborWorks Housing Solutions of Quincy. Until then, have a great week.